This is SIU, Southern Illinois University, Carbondale.
About submitting your thesis or dissertation for graduation. Okay. We are being videotaping this session so that it will be available online, and also our PowerPoint will be available online. I'm Dr. Rose Moroz. I'm Assistant Dean in the Graduate School. This is my graduate assistant Swati and my graduate assistant Vandana. And these two very capable young women are helping me to review all thesis and dissertations for formatting requirements. In today's session, we hope to go through the whole kind of process from figuring out how to submit, preparing, formatting, what happens with submission, all the way through graduation. So, thank you for coming. So, for the ETD, which stands for Electronic Thesis or Dissertation, we do collect those through the ProQuest submission site. And ProQuest keeps those electronic files organized for us. We log into that system and are able to open your submission and review it. And then within an email in that system, we send you corrections that need to be made. And so that is kind of a clearinghouse for it. And when your final submission is made and approved, it's stored in that system, and then ProQuest is also available for people to search, and they disperse it to search engines, etc. So they're kind of our medium for dispersal too. In order to upload your paper into the system, it needs to be in one PDF file. Many of you might have at this point several Word files maybe that you need to collect together. But we offer, if you haven't begun with that yet, we do offer templates on our website, one complete template for the thesis, one complete template for the dissertation. And those templates have been thoroughly gone over. Swati just made some more corrections to them so that page numbers are where they need to be, the appendices page is there without the page numbers. All that tricky stuff is taken care of for you. So we hope that you'll use the template and just copy and paste your work into it to make it happen. And Swati will go over in a few minutes more details about that. If you have trouble with getting your document into one PDF, we do have assistance through the ETD support. That's our email. We're also available for support by walk-in to the graduate school or by phone, and for lots of other help too. Having these electronic means you're able to include color images, audio and video if you need to. Hypertext links can be live in your paper. This also means you do not have to submit your thesis or dissertation on paper to the graduate school. It's only submitted through the ProQuest site. And this allows for sharing on the World Wide Web if that's what you want. We'll talk about that a little later too. And now I'm going to turn this over to Swati, who's going to tell you more about formatting and those expectations.
So, hello everyone. You all must be aware of templates. So, how many of you have already gone through templates? Like me, of course. Yeah. Any others? Okay. For those who don't know where they're actually located on our website and how you can access those, I'll let you know now. So this is our template for the dissertation, and this is the first title page of our dissertation. So this is how it looks. All you have to do is just fill in your information in that highlighted yellow text. And after you fill in, don't highlight it anymore, just fill the information you don't want any highlight yellow marks. So, okay, now I'll show you how to access these templates from our grad school website. So this is our website. Just go down, a little down, and where you can see ETD and research. Click on that. You will be navigated to this page, which gives you a lot of information, almost everything about thesis, dissertation, and research papers. And now that you're here for thesis and dissertation, so let me take you through the ETD guidelines. And this is a ProQuest submission site where you can, after you're done with all your work and you have your PDF ready, this is where you just click that link and you'll be navigated to that page where you can just fill in the information and submit your PDF. So here are the guidelines. Click on that. Scroll down, you'll see ETD guidelines, ETD format, submission process, everything in very detail. And if you have any questions about what are the things I have to follow for margins, what should I follow for tables or figures, so all that information is easily available for you, right? Just at a click. So let me go through the templates, and these two are the completely downloadable templates. So you don't have to work with many different Word pages and then you have to combine them, maybe using some Adobe readers or something where you have to merge different documents, different PDF documents into one. So we have that, we already did that work for you. So you can directly download this thesis template or a dissertation template, whichever you're working on, and just fill in whatever information your work is on to. So you don't have to, if needed, if you want some extra information about what each page is and what that highlighted text is for, maybe you can go through these separate pages and see what all information is required. So all you have to do is just click on that. That gives you a link either to open or save it. And it is saved for me. Okay, open that. And click enable editing. It allows you to edit your document. So alright, so here we have our thesis template, and this is how it looks. So the first page is our title page. Everything remains the same for dissertation and thesis. So you have a title page for thesis and the same for dissertation, just a little wording difference would be there. So just be cautious about what you choose. If you're working on a thesis, only download thesis. If you're working on a dissertation, please download dissertation templates. And now you fill in your title in caps and then your name, and this is the degree that you have already earned. So if I'm doing my thesis, I would be a master's student, so I don't already have a master's until unless I'm doing a dual master degree, right? So for normally, I would have a bachelor's degree where I only put my bachelor's, so just a bachelor's degree. And please do not put your degree that you're right now enrolled in and you're going through. So just make a note of that. And below that, this should be Master of Science, not Masters of Science, and not M.S. No such things. So just be careful about whatever you write there, because this is your title page and it should look formal, right? So that's the small things that you have to take care of. Okay, how many of you are graduating this semester, planning to graduate this semester? Okay, for those who are graduating this semester, your month and year will be December 2018. So on the title page, all you have to put is your graduation month and year, not the month of your defense or anything like that. So it has to be December 2018 for those who are graduating this fall, and maybe for next year, if you're graduating in spring, it would be May 2019. For summer, it should be August 2019. For fall, just like that, December 2019. Just be careful about that. And few people get confused about the dates on different pages. So on your title page, it is your graduation month and year. So the next would be your copyright page. This is optional. Only if you want to get your work copyrighted, you'll have to pay that extra $55, which Dr. Rose will talk about it in a few minutes. And if you want your work copyrighted, you should put this page. So just be careful without paying, and if you put this page, no, it's a mismatch. And if you have paid for copyright and if you don't have this page, see, whoever the reader is going through that, they don't know that you have already copied. They might not know based on if you don't have this page. So just be careful. This is optional. Those who don't want to copyright it, you don't have to put this page, just ignore and delete that. Just move on to the next pages. So this is your approval page. The same thing, title, your name, and be careful with the master degree and your majors. Okay, an important note. You have a separate approval form which is totally different from the approval form on this ETD. We are not looking for any signatures of your committee, just type in your names. Just type in the committee names over here, not any signatures are required. So just the names of the committee, and then below is your approval date, the date on which your committee signs your approval form. So it should be in month, date and year. So on the title page, it is just your graduation month and year, but here it is your committee's approval date, like month, date and year. And in the same way, you have like many other pages, abstract, the same way you have your date of defense right here. And in most of the cases, your defense date and your approval date might be the same, of course. And unless your committee has very huge suggestions, a lot to change in your work, and then only maybe they'll be ready to sign your paperwork. So just in case, if you have a different approval date and a defense date, just be careful, because we would go through your forms once we receive them and then look for the dates if they match. If not, you'll receive another correction in form of a review, which you have to take care of again. So just be careful about that. Okay, this is what I'm saying. So with the downloadable templates, like the complete ones, you already have the page numbers in the correct manner. So if you could see for the front pages, I don't have any page number here, but from abstract, you see a Roman page number being started. So this is already taken care of, so you don't have to spend any extra efforts of time to manage how to get different pages. So all I suggest is directly download the complete template and start working on that. It really saves a lot of time. So, and it's the same. So you have many other pages, and this is how you follow our templates. It could be your thesis or your dissertation. Any questions on this so far? All right, thank you. Okay, so now this is the website that you have gone through already. So once you go to grad school and click on the ETD visa, these are the available links for you that are ready, so that you can just go click them and find whatever information is needed. And if you still have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Either you can directly walk in or send an email if you need any further clarification about this. We're always ready to you. And this is the ProQuest site where you have to go, log in, register as a student, fill in all the information, do the payment, and then you submit your final ETD, your final electronic PDF. So this is how it looks. You can directly go to the link that I've shown in the previous website. Just directly go to the submission site. You'll be redirected to the same page where you can create. You just have to, so you could already see my name. So I've already logged in. So you just have to register based on your details. So that is all you have to do. Or you can directly type etdadmin.com and you'll be here, right there. Okay, and then we have few tips for formatting. Just like I said, use the templates that are already available. Don't start with a new plain document, not knowing what to do and what the rules are for ETD, and just be consistent. Consistency is a whole mantra we look for, because we are not going to read what you have written or something. We just check for the format and the layout of the document, right? So just be consistent all through. Consistency, I'll give you an example. Say on my previous template which I've shown, the title is not in bold. So it is up to the student whether to choose the title to be in bold or to have title in plain regular font. So if you want to choose it, if you are only wanting that to be in bold, put the titles for all the different pages in bold. So first page in bold and the second page being normal, no, there's a mismatch, and you have to be consistent. And if you don't want it in bold, just leave it like that in the same regular font. it's not just with the titles, it could be with your figure numbers, because few students, they start numbering with 1, 2, and they continue it for the next chapters too. And few use a notation of 1.1 for chapter 1, and then when they get the first figure in chapter 2, they use figure 2.1. So whatever style you choose, just be consistent with your font style. Times New Roman in one page, Arial other page, no, it doesn't work. So just be cautious about that. And also with your font size, it should be 12 all over. And for titles, just follow the template. If you could just follow the template and fill in the information, it automatically gives you the font size. You don't have to actually worry about that. So just be careful about being consistent. And then when it comes to your text, only left justify your text. I know I personally don't like to only be left justified. I always like to be fully justifying the text, but no, it is against our ETD rules, so just only left justify. Do not right justify your text. And that's one more important point. And the next one is double spacing. So all through your document, irrespective of whether it's your chapter title or text or something, only double spacing, that is the line space between should be 2.0. So just double spacing is allowed, definitely not less than 2.0. Also make sure that between the paragraphs, automatically your Word might add some extra spaces. So you can see a little more than 2.0 spacing, just be cautious and try go. You can see that in lines and spacing tab in Word. When you click on that, you see an extra spacing for points, about 8 points. Something like that, just make it to 0 so it doesn't give you or add any extra spaces between paragraphs or anything. Just be careful about that. And the next one is running heads. No running heads are allowed. Chapter 1 title in all the chapter pages, chapter 2 title, no, not even your title. And few students just append their name to their page numbers, no running heads at all. And be consistent with the headings. There could be many levels of headings, like main title and then the subheadings, first level subheading, second level subheading, third level. So whatever format you choose, it's totally up to you, but just be consistent about the formatting. So if you try to bold a second level subheading, you do it for all the chapters in the same way. And if you want to use italics for third level, use it. You're okay to use it, but just be consistent all through the chapters. So that is the whole mantra. So just be consistent all through your document. And also for tables, make sure that your table title is on top, and for figures it is on bottom. So this is where students usually go wrong. Just wanted to correct you so that, because we're getting close to deadlines, and those who are trying to graduate this semester, it would be useful to get less number of revisions and less number of times. Just make a little note of that if you're not aware of this already. Oh, sure.
Can you have your figure, not your captions, but within your figure, can you have a different font than your text?
Oh yes, of course. A font, I mean, it could be the regular or italics, but definitely not a separate font altogether.
So you couldn't have like Arial as
No.
for your figures?
No,
and
you have, I think you should.
it all has to be the same.
Yeah, it has to be the same. If you want to differentiate, maybe you can use italics or something, but definitely not a different font. In the figure you can have, but not for the title. This is what I want to see.
Okay. So in the figures, it's
in the
fine.
figure, it's okay. If it is inbuilt and you can't change it, that's fine. It's recommended. So just try until where you can fit in. Like it is you is making that figure or the picture with the text. So try to use the same font. And if you're trying to grab the same information from an openly source available, so you can use that directly. So in the picture it's fine, but for the title, just make sure you use the same font. Okay, and these are the common problems. The first one, page numbering, already taken care of if you use the complete templates, so no problem with that. And if you still face any issues, like few people using different softwares, like med department, they use latex or something, so you might still have issues. So just be cautious about that. And then the page numbers on the landscape, if you have a large figure which you can't put in on a portrait page, you're free to use whatever layout you want. It could be portrait or a landscape, but just be sure that you're using the same page number format. See, for chapters, the page number should be either bottom center or top right. If you choose to have it in the bottom center, make sure also for your landscape pages you have it on the same bottom center. what students do is they actually rotate the page. In that case, the page number would be somewhere in the middle to the right, which is not correct. So just be careful about your page numbers on your landscape pages. And the click submit revisions button, this talks about when you're trying to resubmit your document after you do the revisions, after you initially get a review, you might have done all that you need, but you have to click the submit button twice, and few people forget that. Until you do that final step, we don't receive your document, and you keep waiting, and the deadlines will be crossed. So just be careful about that. And the pagination errors in PDF, this usually happens when you merge different Word documents into PDFs and then finally try to merge different PDFs into one PDF. So make sure that all your pages are contiguous, so you should not have any difference with the page numbers. And also, so whenever you receive a revision, this might change your page numbers. Say for example, I might say that please, if you have a figure in page 22 and you have a text in page 21, but still you have an available space where this figure could go and fit in exactly. Students don't know that they can have both text and figure in the same page, but though they just have 1 or 2 lines of text, they feel like putting the figure in the next pages. So your revision could be just pull your figure and just move it up to the next page. So what's happening? For that figure, the page number has changed. In that cases, so just be careful and try to also update your list table of contents. If something has changed, your list of figures, you all might have known that we have a list of figures and list of tables page too, where you put your figure title or your table title and your page number for that respective figure or table. So that might change. So with your revisions, if there are any cases that the page numbers have changed, could be for your appendices or something, just be careful about updating correct page numbers in the front content, because the reader might go wrong whenever they're trying to refer to something else. So just be careful. And do not email your PDF to ETD support. This is one thing which is very important. If you're not sure about what the submission site is, so it is definitely ProQuest. You can get the information about it from the grad school website and the ETD research. So students don't know, and few people, because at the last, if the deadlines are approaching, they usually update it or upload it to ETD support email and ask for help for review. We are really sorry about that, because we have people in line who have already submitted before you, so we might be taking care of them. And unless you upload it to ProQuest, we will not be able to actually go ahead and review that. So only for reviewing, just upload it to ProQuest, definitely not to the ETD support email. And if you are way ahead of your deadlines, and if we too are actually okay and we are fine with that, we would love to help you. We have no issues helping with that. But when the deadlines are approaching, we expect students to also, understand our situation and upload it directly to ProQuest. And next, about the copyright permission missing, Dr. Rose will tell you in detail what happens and the consequences you might face. So yeah, thank you. If you have any doubts, maybe you can ask now or at the end of the session. This should be fine.
So for copyright, if you're going to be using something in your paper that you have taken directly from a published document, like a graph or a chart or a big chunk of text that you're pulling exactly from a published copyright document, you need to have permission from the publisher in order to use that in your paper. And most of the time, there is no problem with getting the permission, but you usually have to just ask for it through an email. If your work that you're taking something from is in the public domain, you do not have to ask permission for it. So this would mean something that maybe was copyrighted many years ago and the copyright has expired, or something that has been created by the US government that was designed for everyone to be able to use. That's in the public domain. This you do not have to have permission for. But if you do use something that is recently copyrighted, you do need to ask permission permission, like I say, usually you can send an email to the publisher and just let them know, I'd like to use this graph in my thesis. And they'll usually reply and say, that'll be fine. So then you just take that email and just put it into your appendix in your paper and gives permission.
How do we know if it's in the public domain?
Say again?
How do we know if it's in the public domain?
Well, I think that if you could see that it's something that the U.S. government has published, you could be sure of that. Also, you can, if it's really old, if it's over 100 years old, don't worry about it, it's probably expired. You can check this website, and you can look on our, I know you can't write this down probably now, but you can look on our website and find this link, or you can just do a Google about copyright. Sometimes it's a puzzle. You can ask your advisor for help if you are unsure about whether you need to get permission or not. So there's also a very good article about copyright. Okay, I'll say this and then I'll answer. There's a very good article about copyright, and it's on the ProQuest website. When you link in, there's a place where you can click on resources and guidelines, I think it is. And there's an excellent copyright article that I recommend. So go ahead, do you have a question?
So when you say anything, any kind of then quote, any quote in the paper needs to be requested?
If you're taking text, usually not unless you're taking like a whole page or something. If you're just, taking a few lines or even a paragraph, that's okay. You just cite it like you normally do.
Okay.
But if you're taking a lot of text, or what sometimes students do is, I've had a few students who have published something in a journal that they wrote. And at the time they get it published, then that journal now owns the copyright. So they actually have to ask permission to use their own writing in their thesis. You always get the permission, but it's a formality to go through because that publisher owns the copyright. In which case they're using sometimes the whole journal article. And that's when you would have to. But if you're just going to quote somebody, maybe it's a paragraph long, just cite it like you normally do. But if you're using something like a picture or a chart that you're just taking it and it looks exactly the same in this copyrighted work as it does in your work, then you need to get permission for that. I will say that most people don't have to, but once in a while we do have someone, and it's a violation of copyright laws if you don't get that permission, so then we have a problem. And we do have ProQuest checking up on us to make sure that we follow through, so, yes.
I'm using a portion of song lyrics, and I know APA has a way to cite those appropriately, but a portion of song lyrics, would I need a copyright permission?
I think so.
And I'm going to take them out.
I would try first.
Yeah. Okay.
How much of a portion?
Maybe like part of a bridge and part of a verse, bridge and a verse.
6 lines or something? Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
And we could also investigate, ProQuest has lawyers on their staff. We could call, you've got on there a customer service for ProQuest. There might be a certain, like, length, or you know what I mean? If you're using the whole song, probably for sure. If you're using a part of it, it could be that they have different rules, and those I don't exactly know, so it's kind of a gray area. So you could ask ProQuest customer service for that. I'd hate to see you take it out if if that's what you need. The other thing is, most of the time they're going to say yes, so don't give up until, I wouldn't take it out until you got back a big fat no, and then, yes.
So like if you like, for example, if you like reproduce then like a figure then from a text, like would that need to be copyrighted?
If you're reproducing it, so you're actually building it yourself, so it doesn't look exactly like that.
That's pretty similar.
Yeah, I don't know, that's kind of gray area too. I guess if you reproduce it exactly, then kind of you're sort of violating the spirit of the thing, you should get permission. But if you're using parts of it and learning from it and interpreting it, then you certainly can do that. But if you've really got something and you really want to use that whole thing, I'd send an email off and see if you can use it. I'm just very sure they'll say yes. Because if you use it for educational purposes, that's one of the sort of appropriate uses. And, it just kind of gets their name out too. So I don't think it's going to be a no, it's just one more step. Okay. And like I said, most publishers have some kind of request right on their website. There'll be something that says, you can probably do a search for how to get permission to use copyrighted material. Or maybe just an email to their contact information. And so then you would still cite the source in the paper, but then you would also insert the permission email in the appendices. So when you go into ProQuest, let's say you're ready, you've got your formatting down, you've got your ETD ready to upload, you'll go into ProQuest and you'll create yourself an account and you'll have to answer some questions about how your ETD will be published. We recommend that you choose traditional publishing option, and that is opposed to the open access option. Open access means that you're making your paper available out on the internet to the whole world. And if you want to have that available like that, ProQuest charges you $95 to do that. However, you can do the same thing through OpenSIUC and it's free. So that's why I don't want you to choose open access publishing. I want you to choose traditional publishing and allow OpenSIUC to make it available widely. So what happens is when your paper is accepted into ProQuest, then ProQuest then sends it to OpenSIUC. OpenSIUC is here on this campus. It's housed at Morris Library, and it is the collection of electronic documents that are research papers and journal articles that faculty have submitted, and also all students who have submitted their thesis or dissertation. All of those are saved in one place. They're on the Morris Library website. OpenSIUC people will send an email to you and say, would you like your ETD to be open access, available to the whole world? You respond if you would like them to. You can respond and say, yes, I would. And then they will make that happen, like I say, free of charge. Okay? If you say no or you ignore that email, then your paper will only be available for people who are on campus. And that's through the OpenSIUC, and they'll just keep it there. If you don't get the email and you want it out on the World Wide Web, you can send an email to OpenSIUC at lib.siu.edu and just say, I didn't get the email, but I want my paper available open access. So you can still have it done. If you decide to not do the open access, then I want you to be aware that your paper can still be requested requested by people at other universities. They can request up to 80% of your paper be sent to them through interlibrary loan. That's a service that they do for different libraries. So just be aware of that. So this is the screen from the ETD, the ProQuest site. Select type of publishing and traditional publishing is what we would recommend. And this is about looking at SAUC. So let's say that you have, yes?
Isn't if we want to publish our thesis online worldwide, doesn't academic people do it, for example, through the internet, through, for example, academia website?
I'm not familiar with the academia website. I'm not sure.
The website academia, where anybody could just publish anything there for free.
Okay.
Any paper or any academic paper.
I would think so, that you're the author, you own the copyright, so if you also wanted to submit it through academia website, I think that you could. But if you give it to ProQuest, you can also, you'll select a publishing option here. I want major search engines to discover my work. You say yes or no. And we have some people who do not want their paper to be found. Some of our students have a patent pending for their work. Some of them, if they've done something creative, are trying to get it published, and they don't want anybody to see it. So you have a choice of, here it says, I want my work to be available in ProQuest as soon as it is published, and you say yes or no. If you say no on there, that opens up some more choices. So if you click no, now they ask you, well, how long would you like to delay it? It's called an embargo. You could choose 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years. 2 years is the most that they'll let you choose, but if you write in this box, note to administrator, you can choose any length of time and just put it in the box, okay? So if you want your paper to never be discovered, write it in the box. I never want this to be available. Put it in there. I will be able to read what's in the box here. Okay? And then we ask you to use this drop down and select a reason for the delay of your paper. And that's simply kind of a survey kind of thing. So there's like patent, awaiting publication, that sort of thing. So choose one of those. So any questions about the embargo? Yes?
If you're going to publish your work in a journal, should it not be open access then? Because then basically the journal's publishing the same thing that...
Yes, I think that's probably how people do it. If you've got something pending where you're going to be published, then I would embargo it so that you're sort of giving them first dibs. You don't want it out there before they get a chance to publish it if you're making an agreement with them. So you can decide, if they've told you, yeah, we're going to publish it, it's going to be in the summer 19 issue or something, then you can just say, okay, maybe I'll wait 1 year, whatever. And it is possible to change this if you guess, oh, I think it'll be published in a year, so then it can be available. And then you find out after a year that it's delayed or whatever, you can notify ProQuest and Open SIUC and let them know you want to embargo it longer. So that's okay. I think generally that's what people do though. If you've got some kind of agreement pending, you go ahead and have this wait. So if you are embargoing, and let's say you never want it published, you do want to let me know here. I'm putting this in the box, okay? Because that's different from just 6 months. 6 months is different. And I guess that's it. Any other questions about embargoing? Okay.
What might be the reason why people don't want it to be ever seen?
Well, sometimes it's confidentiality. Sometimes they've done interviews with people and they've summarized it in their paper and they really don't want anybody to read it. They had to put it in because that was their thesis study, but they just don't want anybody to read it. Maybe they're thinking that people could be identified even though they use different names or something like that. So sometimes it's confidentiality. They don't ever want it. I also had a student who never wanted it published because of patents pending, because he just thought, I don't want to worry about how long I have to guess because the patent process can be very long. So he just said, I just don't want it there at all. Then we take away his stress and he just works on his patent.
I'm wondering, will someone be able to change later on what they want by emailing or something?
Yes. Yes. So even if you say, I never want it to be published, and then a year later you say, oh, I really do want that published, that would be a case where you would notify me, and then I could send it to ProQuest with the new instructions. If you wanted to, if you'd already embargoed it and you want to make it longer, that's when you contact ProQuest. So, thank you. Yeah. So there's your options. Okay, so we talked about you using other copyrighted work in your paper. The other copyright question to puzzle over is, do you want ProQuest to register your copyright for you? As the author of your ETD, you own the copyright. You already do. But ProQuest will offer to you to register the copyright, which sometimes it makes things easier, I guess, if you did have to do some kind of legal maneuvering for someone infringing on your, someone using your work without permission. There is a $55 fee for this, and it is optional. So you decide if you want them to register the copyright for you. And again, here's a website, and then if you go into ProQuest and you click on the Resources and Guidelines tab, this is this same article that I have a one-paper copy of it here if you want to look through it later, but this is a really well-written article by someone who obviously knows what they're talking about. And it talks about both kinds of copyright, using other people's stuff and whether or not you should register yours. Okay, so that's worth investigating. Talk to your advisor. It's completely optional. So here are your costs. When you go in to upload your ETD to the system, everyone has to pay for an SIU library copy fee. We are going to have a bound copy of your thesis or dissertation will be put into the special collections in Morris Library, paper copy. And you pay for that. It's $25 something plus tax. It ends up being about 28 bucks. That's required for you to pay using a credit card in order for you to upload your ETD. Then the copyright registration fee is optional, $55. We are asking you to do traditional publishing. If you really want to do their open access, then it's $95 more. But like I said, we can do that for free. So that's so that you can upload to ProQuest. Now your other costs involved are, you'll need to apply for graduation, and that fee is $50 if you apply within, I think it's the first 2 weeks of the semester that you want to graduate. After that, if it's later in the semester, they bump it up to $75. You apply for graduation in your SalukiNet account. There's one of those icons, apply for graduation, click on it. You do have to pay that fee at the time of applying. They don't charge it to your bursar. You have to pay it with a credit card. And then if you want to have a paper copy, a professionally bound paper copy of your thesis or dissertation, you can go to the university bookstore. You can actually take your paper, you print it out, and take it over to the bookstore and give it to them, and then they take it, have it professionally bound, and then you can pick it up. And it's about $30. The reason I want to tell you about this is some people want this as a keepsake for themselves or their families. Other people, sometimes in the past, students have given a paper copy to their advisor. I would ask first if that's appropriate. That might be something that's sort of gone out of style, like people maybe don't want paper copies anymore, maybe they want an electronic copy. It's just something to discuss with your advisor. But if you go to the bookstore, you can choose the binding color and the font. It takes about a month. ProQuest will ask you when you're in the system if you would like to buy bound copies from them. I don't know exactly what it costs, but it's much more than $30, and it takes much longer. The only benefit I see to ordering through ProQuest is they will mail you the bound copies. So if you're leaving Carbondale, it would be harder to use the university bookstore for your binding. Although if you had, a friend who could pick it up and mail it to you, it still might be cheaper. So, but I've had students who have called me months later and said, I still haven't gotten my bound copies from ProQuest. So if you do decide to order from ProQuest, just know that it could take a long time. All right, so we had, I think, 3 or 4 people raise their hand about graduating in December. Here's your deadlines. If you are graduating in December, I hope that you already applied for graduation. If you didn't, you can still do it today, but I think it's the $75 charge at this point, because the deadline was September 14th. November 2nd is the deadline for the very first time you upload to ProQuest. That's what we call your format check deadline. That has to be met by everyone. Your formatting doesn't have to be perfect at that point. You just have to upload. We have to know that you're trying to work toward graduation, and we have to get started on giving you feedback, because 1 week later, it's all due, perfect, done, forms in, everything. This is your final submission. If you miss either of these deadlines, then you won't graduate in December, but you can still finish fairly soon. Your graduation date will be May, though, if you miss either of these deadlines. So let's say you don't get uploaded until November 12th. Okay, now your graduation date is May. We will still work with you. And let's say you finish everything and you get all the paperwork in and you're done, say, December 2nd. Okay, it's still too late to graduate in December with a graduation date of December. But we will be able to continue clearing you, and once you get all cleared, we can give you what we call a letter of completion, which actually states this person has met the requirements, the graduation date will be this day, and it'll be a university seal. So it's a nice official thing to let a future employer or other university or whatever know that you finished your degree. If you're going to work towards graduating in spring, here are your deadlines. Apply for graduation by February 8th. Actually, you can do this right now. You don't have to wait until February. If you think it's going to be May graduation, you can go ahead and apply today for graduation. Your format check by April 5th and your final submission by April 12th. Final submission deadline is also when we need to have your dissertation or thesis approval form and your oral defense form. And those are the ones on paper. Swati was telling about, you have an approval form in your ETD with just the names. But when I'm talking here are the ones on paper with the actual signatures in them. They are sent separately to our office from your department usually. Got more information about them, but I'll talk later about them. So here's your steps. You apply for graduation, get that template downloaded, pass your defense. Now, some people will say, oh, my defense is, November 1st, so can I upload before my defense? Well, if it's tight, yes, you can upload before your defense. All things being ideal, we prefer that you pass your defense before you upload your paper because, of course, at your defense, you're probably going to be given some corrections to make. Most everybody is. Even the most wonderful paper has a little bit of corrections, right? So that's ideally the order to go in. Then you're going to upload your paper to ProQuest for your format check. Make sure these forms get to us. Human subjects. If you used human subjects in your study, then I need a copy of your human subjects approval letter. If you didn't, don't worry about it, okay? If you are a PhD student, you must complete the survey of earned doctorates. It's an online survey. It asks you about your experience in your doctoral program and your future career goals. It is completely anonymous, but it is required that you complete it. When you complete it, I will get an email saying you have completed it. Not any of your answers, but just the fact that you're done. And that is required before your paper is approved in the system. The link for it is on one of the pages that Swathi went to. It just says Survey of Earned Doctorates. So you'll find that. It's actually on more than one page. You might have several reviews and revisions back and forth. We suggest you make a few changes, you make a few, maybe you didn't understand how one was supposed to be made, so we send you more clarification. And every time then you upload again, but you only have to pay the first time. And then finally, when everything is accepted, you get an email from the system saying your ETD has been accepted. And at that point, I pass your file on to the graduation office, and they do other clearances of, did you take enough thesis or dissertation hours? Did you take all the required courses, etc. One of the things they check there is, do you have grades for all your courses? So if you have not the thesis or dissertation, those are deferred grades until you graduate, and we handle those, so you don't have to worry about those. But let's say you did an independent research study or something like that, and you got a deferred grade waiting on that, get that grade in. You can't graduate with that grade left on your transcript. You've got to get an actual grade, not deferred. Okay, so make sure you check your transcript to see if all your grades are in. Yes?
So I know in our department, like, classes get subbed out a lot for core requirements and things. So, like, I know in my file in our department, we have letters that say this course has been substituted for whatever. Does that need to make its way to you for that?
Yes, it does, because when you apply for graduation, what we do is we send a form to your department and we say, what does this student need to still finish before he or she can graduate? And then we use that as part of the graduation clearance. There are certain things everybody has to take 24 dissertation hours, etc. But there are other things that are unique to your department, and they'll tell us that. Yes?
Also in our department, we've had some faculty leave the university, and so we've been sort of scrambling to find new committee members.
Yes.
Do we need to, I guess, resubmit the committee, whatever that
committee
form was?
form.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
excellent question. I'm glad you brought that up. When you go to graduate and we have your oral defense form and your thesis or dissertation approval form, we will look at the names on there and compare them to the committee form that we have on file. So if they don't match up, then we have to contact your department and say, we need a new committee form. So that would be something, if your committee has changed, then talk to your advisor about getting a new committee form submitted so that it's correct.
Do they all re-sign or we just like add the one person?
In order to alter your committee, you have to submit a new form. But the signatures, when you do a committee form, you don't have everybody sign. It's just your chair of your committee and then a representative from the department. So not everybody has to sign that one. Yes?
Is it the same if you had like 6 committee members and then one person left and you have 5 to the required number, you still have to submit them?
Okay, she asked if you have 6 and you lose one person, do you have to resubmit the form? Okay, so this is kind of gray area. Like, okay, the rule says, however many committee members you have, all of them but one must sign to approve your committee, to approve your paper. So if you have 6, you must have 5 signatures to graduate. If you have 5, you must have 4 signatures to graduate. So let's say she has 6, one is left the country, not participating anymore. That means you have 5 people left. That means you don't have to change your committee form as long as those 5 people all sign. And of course, going into it, you don't know. So that's why I say it's gray area. But if you were to submit a new form, I guess that would take care of that. Unless you have a problem, if that one person was your outside person or occupied some crucial role on the committee. So maybe I should talk to you one-on-one. But it is tricky, and it is important. And it does delay graduation for some people because we have to have that form, and it has to be accurate. If you have, okay, let's say you have 5 people on your committee, only 4 are signing for whatever reason. Then what we're going to do is ask you to only list the 4 that are signing on your ETD electronic sheet. And it's okay if you forget that because I'll remind you when you turn it in. But that's one rule we have. I think there was something else. Yeah.
This is a stupid question, but yeah, I'm thinking the spring deadline for applying for graduation is really early. If ever you pay the graduation fee and then you are unable to graduate in May, will you pay again?
Very good question. Thank you for asking that. The graduate school will push your application forward 1 semester. So if you apply, you think I'll finish by May, and you apply for May and you don't make it, we'll push it forward to August. However, if you don't graduate by August, you'll have to reapply. So if it goes more than 2 semesters, then and you have to pay again. So yeah, you don't want to start too early. It is kind of a guessing game because it's several weeks before and you don't know what's going to happen. But at some point you have to do it because you can't graduate unless you apply for graduation. And we have had students who have done everything except apply for graduation, and so we don't even know they want to graduate, and then it does delay because then we have to get them into the next semester.
Excuse me.
Yes.
But because we don't have like a ceremony, we don't work in summer.
Yes.
Meaning, if you want to work in fall, you still have to pay, right?
You do have to pay even if you're not going to participate in the commencement. Yes, it's the same fee for everyone, whether they participate in the ceremony or not.
Okay, I mean, you want to participate and you have paid in May, but you have missed the deadline. So it will be pushed to summer. In summer, there is no ceremony.
That's true.
So if if you want to be in the ceremony, meaning you still have to pay it for, right?
No. If
Okay.
you were to apply for May graduation, but then get pushed to summer, and you finished in summer, and you want to participate in the December ceremony, you may
Yes.
do that without paying. Once you have graduated, you may choose the ceremony to participate in, the next one that's available. And so far, we have had very few cases where we've allowed people to, well, master's students can participate prior to graduation. So let's say you think you're going to be done by May and you're a master's student and you're not quite done, you may still participate in the ceremony. PhD, it's another matter because we say that doctoral students cannot participate until they're completely finished and by this date. But we have had a few exceptions to that. So if you have extenuating circumstances, contact us and we'll see if we can make it work. But usually it's then you're invited to participate in the next ceremony. And we have somebody coming in May, already set up to participate in May, and he graduated last May. But he just couldn't get here and he couldn't get his family here, and he still gets to have the nice ceremony. So his mom wants to watch him get hooded, so that's, I understand that, yes.
But does it mean that you, even if you have graduated in summer, and then you say, okay, I'm going to work in December.
Right. You just have to let me know.
Pay.
You don't have to pay again. You just send me an
I
email
mean
and say,
for-
I would like to be in the,
So I don't have to be registered?
no,
Oh, okay.
no. You just have to be graduated. And then you say, I want to be in December commencement, and I say, okay. Yep. It's one of those few things where we're actually flexible, yes.
How feasible is it to submit before that November 2nd deadline, maybe a couple of days, and then actually have time to have you guys review it and then get it back so that you can make your corrections and get it in by the 9th? Because you guys will be pretty busy, I assume. throughout the
Very
year.
busy, yes. I mean, it's possible, and we work very hard to have that happen. If you have submitted by that format check deadline, then we'll do everything in our power to review right away and get back with you. It really depends on how many changes you need. Yeah, because we've certainly had some where we've just gone back and forth twice and they're ready. And others where it's been a lot of corrections and they just haven't made it. So the earlier the better, but I think using the template, it's really going to be so much easier. I think you should be pretty safe. Yes?
I have a question about the deadline dates. So those are the latest that you apply, that you have your format checked, and that you submit. And so I was just wondering if the opening date will be anytime?
Yes, anytime.
So there's no...
Today, we already approved someone and her thing is on her way. Her graduation file is being reviewed now. Her paper's approved. We have about, I don't know, 20 of them maybe already approved for December. You could go home and upload tonight if you want. Yep, we're already reviewing.
Right, even for...
No, yeah.
Yes,
When someone wants to
Even
apply
for next
spring,
year's,
yeah,
I
that's
know,
what I
even
mean.
for May 2019 you can. But make sure that on the title page you put May 2019 as your graduation month and year. So that, it gives us information.
Yes.
yeah.
But we'll still be working on it.
Oh, I see, yeah. I thought that the opening date is a specific date.
No, that's
No,
the
actually,
deadline, last day.
Right.
Yeah, we're just open, it's just open all the time.
I see.
But it just depends on when you upload, then that date determines which graduation date you're eligible for.
Right.
So, but you can upload anytime.
I was just wondering, maybe it's related to the submission or any after the final submission, do we have to do anything at all related to, I don't know, other paperwork after the final?
When you make the final submission and you get an email saying your formatting is approved, then you don't have to do any other changes to the ETD, because whatever your final submission is, it was the way it needed to be, so we keep that as your submission. Now, other paperwork, we have to make sure you have your oral defense forms, your approval form, human subjects approval if you use human subjects, and then the survey completed if you're a PhD student. So we check all that in addition.
Being an international student, so I want to know whether I can travel after certain date, that I don't need to go back maybe to my department or to other offices to finish all of the paperwork.
Usually the department will send the paperwork over. So, I mean, some departments maybe give it to the student, but I think most of them either walk it over themselves or send it through campus mail. So really, I don't see how you would have to be here on campus for any of that late stuff, because you can upload from anywhere in the world, and your department can bring the forms over for you. So I really don't think you really have to be around, unless it helps you to be around. Yes?
Do you accept electronic signatures?
We do have a new digital signature that is approved. We do not accept when they print the form and sign it and then scan it and send it back. That's not what we define as a digital signature. The digital signature, the forms, oral defense form and approval form are on the grad school website under forms. If you download those, save them to your computer and open them, you'll see a digital signature function by every name. And if you click on that, then you end up, the committee member can just sign it. It'll come up with their name printed and then the date that they signed it and everything. That function is just built into the form. You just need Adobe Reader. You don't need the Acrobat to do it. You just need Adobe Reader. And we are making that available because so many committees have at least one person who's somewhere else in the world. The ideal thing would be for that person who's away to digitally sign it first, then they can save it and send it back to the department. The department can print it, and then the people who are here on campus can actually physically sign on that form and then bring that form to us. Because once someone has signed, now we want that original form. We don't want, if you signed by hand, we don't want that to be copied or scanned. Does that make sense? Yes?
What about for people you've interviewed for your paper or quotations? Do you need that permission to be signed?
No. If you have people you've interviewed for your paper, then that's something you've worked out with the human subjects, the committee, and you might be having them sign a consent form, but you would just save those consent forms in a very safe location. You would not have to give them to us. The only thing we need from you is the approval letter where human subjects has said, yes, she did a good job of designing this study and we're going to let her do it. And then we keep that on file.
When we get copyright permission from, for a quote, permission to use a quote, and that's something.
Do you need copyright permission to use a quote? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just, like when I call the publishing company and I ask for their permission, do they need to sign something or can they just send an email?
It can be an email, yeah. And if it's a short quote, you don't need the publisher permission. I wouldn't do it for every quote. Just if it's, you know, if you're taking a whole page of their book or something, then I would do it. Okay, so your approval forms, we talked about a little bit. The thesis approval form or dissertation approval form, whichever one, we ask that you print it on 25% cotton paper because that form is sent to Morris Library and is bound in the front of your copy that's going to be stored in special collections. So all the paper in that bound copy are this nice thick paper that doesn't deteriorate very soon. And so we ask for your form to be that too. We accept it if it's not on the special paper. But, you know, it's going into your bound copy so. And usually your department has this paper. You don't have to go out and buy a ream of 25% cotton paper. It's more expensive. Usually they have a bunch of it in the department and you only need 2 pages. 2 pages because I recommend you have 2 originals of both of these documents. 2 oral defense forms and 2 approval forms go to your defense. So they sign 4 pages, okay? The graduate school only wants 1 of each. But now you have 1 of each in case something happens to the other ones, okay? And if nothing happens to the other ones, then you have 2 originals to just keep for your own records. But every semester there's at least like 2 people where the department says, we sent those over, and we say, we have searched everywhere and we can't find them. And then, if the department says, oh, well, we have another copy, send it over. Because it can't be a copy, I should say, we have another original. That's what we need. So that's why I recommend 2 originals for each of them. Your signatures must be original, no fax, no stamps, no color printer, no script font. Believe me, I can see a script font. I mean, come on, it's obvious. We send those back. No, you can't just type in script. You have to sign it. And like I said before, send the one, if you have a digital signature, send that first. Or send it in the mail, you know, and just get it right on the paper. If you have to send more than 1 form, we accept it. So, you know, the one who's in, you know, New Mexico or something takes forever to get it back. We can accept that signature on a separate form. It's okay. It doesn't look good when it's bound, but whatever. We get you graduated. Okay, so here's your ETD support. This information is all on your yellow sheet that you got when you came in the room. But anything format, contact us at the graduate school. Anything technical with the website, call ProQuest customer service. And then ProQuest also has a frequently asked questions place and that resources and guidelines too. Okay, so you've got your templates. Swati showed you where they are. You've got your ETD support if you need it, ProQuest support. Submit your ETD, review and revise, get your forms in, get them approved. Then commencement. Commencement.siu.edu has lots of tabs, all the information you need, how to apply for graduation, but like I said, it's through SalukiNet. Your application deadlines. If you want to order your cap and gown, that's through the university bookstore, but you have your links here on this website. And more about the commencement ceremony and when you'll receive your diploma, all of that information is on this website, so you'll know about it. There's also, SIU's been working hard to make commencement a much more festive situation where they have like the whole day before, there's all this activities going on at the Student Center. In the May, they had jugglers and magicians and music and food and different bands playing. And it's, so if your family comes for the commencement, it's a good time for all ages. That's kind of neat, and all that information will be here also.
If you're not participating in commencement, when will you get your diploma?
The same time as if you are, whether you were participating or not, you'll get your diploma at the same time. Unless you're a PhD student, then we'll have those ready for you at the commencement. Are you PhD or master's?
Master's.
Master's students don't get diplomas at the commencement, but as soon as the Monday after commencement, we begin to mail them.